Hey, what's going on, everybody out there that is watching right now? I told y'all it was going to be very, very interesting to what y'all was going to see tonight. That's why I didn't want to say nothing. I had to keep this under wraps. And do you know how hard this was, considering that this was shot back in January? I was actually looking through the chat as the show was going on and saw some people was having conversations in the chat before the live stream even got started. And I got so many notifications from people that I went to school with and all types of stuff had me cracking up with some of the stuff they were saying. And people tagging me and posting, taking pictures and putting it up online of me on the screen. Like, I really do appreciate all of that. Craig, you crazy. You said, you said, can I have your autograph? Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And now, this is the point. This is the part that I was really waiting on. This is the part where I can, like I said, I can explain the audition process, the shooting process, and the waiting process. So we're about to take a little trip all the way back to the beginning of the year, back in January, because that's when the shoot was actually done. So it was on January 24th. First off, before I get started, I have to give a shout out to a woman by the name of Candace Johnson because she is the casting director for this show. I actually submitted to be a part of this show before in the past, but I guess I didn't fit the profile for who they were looking for. And I'm shocked that I actually looked as close to the person who I was playing as I did. And I think that's probably why they chose me because I had the look down. But anyway, shout out to her for actually uh doing this Will I Am Be. He says, so are you gonna get on? Probably not right now. But anyway, um I on January 24th, I think it was the 24th, I got the email saying that they wanted to use me for this part that was coming up for the show, for this episode. And would y'all believe I almost didn't submit for it? I almost didn't. Like, I literally looked at the email and closed it out. I didn't delete it, but I closed it out and I didn't that was pretty much that. That sat around for maybe about 20 minutes and they told me that I had to submit the audition. They had to have it by um the end of the next day, I believe, or the end of that day. So it was very fast. But like I said, I almost did not do it. Then I sat around and said, you know what? Let me go ahead, like, take the risk. Who knows? The worst thing that can happen is that I don't get the part. So when I considered doing that, I reopened the email, and in it had the audition pieces that they wanted me to read from. And she told me that if I had a YouTube channel, to upload it to YouTube as a private video. So yes, the video of me auditioning was actually on my YouTube channel, but y'all couldn't see it. It was private, and you will never see it because I deleted it. But after I had submitted it, and the part that I had to audition with was some lines from The Wire, and The Wire is one of my favorite shows ever. I think I was auditioning using the Bodhi character. For those of you who are familiar with the show, I did some lines from him, and I think I did some lines from another show or another character as well, and I can't remember which one. So anyway, I submitted the videos to her. She had the link, and then she looked at it, and a day had went past, and I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to get this part. So whatever. When it comes to auditioning and it comes to acting, you don't dwell on one particular part. You just audition. You keep going. Then on January 26th, which was a whole 2 days later, I get an email from Candace again saying that congratulations, TV1 picked me and I got the part. So I was actually genuinely shocked that I got the part. Like, I didn't know how to react to that. and I didn't know anything about the story or anything like that. They told me the role I was going to be playing, and then I just, went from there. At that point, I went and looked up the character. Well, they actually sent me a picture of the character, and what they wanted me to do is they wanted me to send a picture of myself looking like the character. So I had to go and actually to the barbershop and kind of clean my face up a little bit, to look a little bit like how the picture was that they sent me. Now, the one that y'all saw on TV, that was a mugshot, and he looks slightly different than the picture they sent me. But that's the picture that they sent me was the one that they want me to look like. So I went to the barber shop, cleaned my face up a little bit, and then I took the picture behind a bare wall and made it look like a mugshot. Another picture that y'all will not see. And I gave her the picture and gave her everything. And then after that, they told me how much I was going to be getting paid. And don't even think about getting into the comment section asking how much I was getting paid. Just know that it was good. And after that, they sent me the location, the time that I had to be there, and all of that good stuff. And then the unthinkable happened. About a day later, or maybe a couple days later, I can't exactly remember, my cousin through marriage ended up passing away. He was very young, like he wasn't even out of his teens yet, and he died. And on the day of the very first shoot that I had to do was on the day of his funeral. So imagine me having to go to a funeral the same exact day that I had to do my first day of filming for that particular show. So I had to go to and the thing is, I couldn't tell the family, what was going on because they said I couldn't tell anybody anything. So I went to the funeral. Me and my family went to the funeral. We had to end up leaving early because I had to go across town. Now, this episode, while the theme was taking place in Detroit, Michigan, it was actually shot in College Park, Maryland. So after we left the funeral, we drove over there. I ended up getting dropped off, and then proceeded to get prepared and everything. So I get there. I realized that something was missing, and that something was I had a shirt that I wore, and the shirt that you saw me wear in that particular episode right there. But I said I'm glad that they did not shoot me at a certain angle because I had my dress pants on from the funeral. I didn't have on the jeans that y'all saw me wearing later on in that episode. So I'm glad they shot me from like the waist up when I was sitting down, so you couldn't really tell the difference. But I had the same shirt on. So they had me go downstairs and they had me fill out this paperwork. They had to take my picture and all of that good stuff, and sign different documents and forms, and then the waiting process happened. For those of you who want to get into acting or have done this before, just know that there's a waiting process. But one thing I liked about this is that it was more intimate because it wasn't a lot of people. Now, I've been on film sets before when there's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people, to the point where if you have claustrophobia, you probably wouldn't survive there without having an episode. But it was a very intimate setting. It was only me, the two other main characters, the one who played my mother, and the one that played the stepdad. And then they had some extras downstairs as well. It was probably in total, probably six of us down in that basement where they were holding us at, and I was just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's even at times where I was down there by myself. I think out of everybody, I think I had the most downtime out of everybody who was there. And it's amazing I can remember all of this stuff. But when they finally called me up to do my scene, it was dark. As you noticed, the only scene that was done with me while it was daytime was the one where I was holding the gun. Every other scene that I was in was at night. So when they called me up and said that they said, Ernest, we're ready for you. Because if you notice on film sets, if you're not like a well-known actor, they don't call you by your real name. They'll call you by your character name because they want to psychologically get into the mood of calling you that and not slip up and call you by your real name while they're filming. So they said, Ernest, we're ready for you. So I went upstairs. Now, mind you, all of this is the first day. I haven't gotten on to day two yet. I went upstairs and went up there, shot my particular scene, which was outside. Mind you, this scene, that the whole episode, the whole thing that we were part of, was supposed to take place in the spring. It was cold outside. It was January when we shot this. January 30th through the second, I believe, or the first. I think it was one of the two. But it's wintertime. So we had to pretend like it was the spring. Imagine being outside with a short sleeve shirt on and you are out there pretending to have a party on a deck and it is freezing. It is freezing outside. And before anybody asks, no, it was no beer in the bottle. That was just water or juice, one of the two. They don't condone drinking alcohol on the set. But it's amazing how we were able to play that off. It was cold. It was freezing that night. And we had to pretend like it was the springtime. So what they did was when we were talking, y'all couldn't hear it because all you saw was our mouths moving with the voiceovers of the people talking. But all we were talking about was how cold it was. We had that's all we was talking about was how cold it was, but you couldn't hear what we were saying. We were just saying it is freezing. We were saying we hope they hurry up and yell cut so we can go back inside. And whenever they yell cut, they came out with these big comforters and blankets and these big bubble jackets and everything so we could stay warm. We was like, hopefully that was the end of that scene. Hopefully they'll call us back inside. And we must have shot that deck scene probably about 5 times because they had to get it from different angles and everything like that. But when when that part was done and they called us back in the house, my part for that particular scene was done. So I was done for day one. My part was wrapped. A lot of the other people had to stay. Some of the extras had to stay, and of course the two main characters had to stay as well. But my part was done, and they said, "Okay, Ernest, we'll see you tomorrow." So going on to day two now. Day two was the more hectic day. So what my day started out as was a normal routine day for me. I went to the gym, worked out for about an hour and a half, and then I drove to College Park, Maryland. And I was there. I was the first one on set that day. And when I had got there, I was literally just chilling. I had the most downtime. Like I went there, they said, "Oh wow, you're real early." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "If you knew where I had to drive from and dodge that traffic, you'd know why." So they had me down in the holding area. I was literally in that basement all day long. So mind you, I got there maybe a little bit before 12, but my call time I think was 4. So I was there 3, maybe 4 hours before my call time. And even my call time being at 4, I didn't start shooting anything at 4. They just needed me there by 4 so they wouldn't have to rush and look for me. I didn't start shooting anything until it got a little like maybe around 7. So imagine me getting up early to go to the gym for an hour and a half, drive across town, get there like before 12. My call time is at 4. I didn't start shooting to 7. So that's a long day. Oh, and another little tip. Everything that y'all saw in that episode, minus the scenes where they're driving, which I'm gonna get to that part, all took place in one area. Like the party happened in the same spot. The part where they were laying in the beds happened in the same house. The part the interrogation happened in the same house. All of that happened in the same exact spot. We really did not leave from that area, and I think it was some kind of like community park or community. Like we had a lot of cabins around there, but that's where we shot at, and that's pretty much where we stayed the whole time. So when you saw those scenes where they were driving and everything like that, that was clips that they probably pulled from somewhere else and inserted and edited later into the episode. But let me see what else. So finally, my part comes up, and in the part where we're in the car, the part where we're in the car and we're driving, quote unquote, we were not really driving. We were actually parked inside of the garage, and they had turned off all the lights. The only lights that were on was like a fluorescent light from the camera, and they just had us do like a lot of reacting reactions. That's why you saw me giving a lot of facial expressions throughout the episode, because I was doing a lot of reacting to a lot of stuff, because it's like my character, he didn't want to be there. He already knew what it was like to be in jail because he's been in there for a year before, and all of that stuff. But we weren't really actually driving. We were actually parked the whole time, and we had to pretend like we were moving. um Let me see what else happened. Like I said, it's a lot of stuff that I'm trying to remember in just 2 days. Um, hmm. I'm trying to remember as much as possible. So it's quite a lot to take in. But yeah, when we had to get out of that car, we were so mad because see, we had heat in the car. So the car was like we had the heat cranking in that car. Like, the car was on and we had the heat on. So when we had to get out of the car and keep getting in and get out of the car, we were so upset because we was like, okay, it's so freezing out here. We need to just like, can we stay in the car? Like I said, every time they yell cut was a perfect opportunity for us to try to stay warm in what was presumably a warm climate. Mind you, we're supposed to be in Detroit, but we're shooting this in College Park, Maryland, in January, and it's supposed to be the springtime. But by the time I got off the set, it was probably going on 10 o'clock. So like I said, day two was a very long day for me. When I got home, all I wanted to do was just go to sleep, because and just stay warm, of course, because it was freezing that night when we had to do those night shoots. But I think I pretty much covered everything. One thing they told us, they said to make sure to look out for the episode. They told us the episode was going to be labeled 421B, which means season 4, episode 21B, meaning it's the second slot of that episode. Which is why in tonight's episode you had the first story and then you had the storyline that I was in, so that was considered 421B. And what's so crazy about it is, you would think we will be 421A, because our episode actually shot before the one that aired first tonight. The one that y'all probably saw in the very first storyline, if you watch the entire episode, actually shot after us. And one thing I liked about the set, it was very professional and they stuck to everything by the book. Because the one who played the kid, the one who was killed, he actually is like around the age of the boy that was killed. Um, and they had to have, because he was a minor, his mother had to be on the set, and she was a very nice lady. So it really worked the way that it was supposed to. It was very professional, very well done. Like I said, it was a very intimate setting because there wasn't a lot of people. Not that they could have crammed all of those people in there anyway. But a lot of the times, like in scenes that y'all didn't see me in, I was probably in that basement, laid out on that couch, and I was like I tell you, I was tired. I would be down there taking long naps, like sometimes, like to the point where I'm surprised they didn't name the couch after me. Because, like I said, I had that much downtime. The episode does re-air at 12 midnight. I did see that. It does come on back again at 12 midnight. Black Beauty said, "Do I plan to continue acting?" Yes, I actually do. For y'all who don't know, acting was one of my first passions. I've done a lot of background work, extra work. I've done background work for that show House of Cards. That used to, I think they just did their last season. That shot in like near the Baltimore area, even though the setting was DC. I actually did some background work for Captain America's Winter Soldier back in 2014. So I actually did some background work for a Marvel movie, crazy as it sounds. I even did a student film back in '06. That was like one of my first speaking roles. I was like 17 at the time. And some other things. I even one time was a part of a CarMax commercial. And what's so crazy is um I was just a extra for that commercial, but one of the featured extras could not make it, and they bumped me up to their spot. So I actually was able to be seen and interact because I was an employee, and I was able to interact with the lead character who was searching or shopping for a car. I didn't say much of anything, but I just interacted with him to the point where you could see that I had screen time, and that was a few years ago as well. a guy. You said, how were you discovered at first? I wouldn't say. I don't know if I would say I was, discovered. I mean, I just went on auditions and try to stay active as much as possible. I haven't This part right here that I just did was probably one of the first acting anything, whether it was background extra or in this case a lead part that I've done in probably over a year. Because when I started working, it was kind of hard for me to go on auditions and everything like that. But after this, I can see myself definitely putting myself back out there to do more acting and do more things because this looks good on the resume because you never know who sees it. BGS, it's on TV1. Yeah, that outside shoot, it was intense. Now, see, that one thing I like about doing stuff like this is now you can have respect for the craft, for the major actors out there that you watch and see the stuff that they do. As a matter of fact, when you mention Nicole and someone mentioned Stan Lee and I mentioned Marvel, I might as well say this. Who remembers how could you not? Who remembers the Mystique character from X-Men in the movie version? When I was looking at the behind the scenes stuff, for the second X-Men movie, the actress who played her, whose name is Rebecca Romaine, we all know how she was made up. She really didn't, I don't know if she had any clothes on, but she had that blue body paint on and whatever. It was a scene where they had to shoot like in the mountains. And they said she actually walked out there like that in the cold, barefoot and all. Now that's colder than what I had to deal with. So when I hear stuff like that, and then I think about what I have to do and stuff of that nature, I realize that you have to really respect the craft of these actors and actresses because a lot of them put their bodies through a lot of stuff to make sure that the material looks authentic and legit. Whether it's getting into a physical shape or whether they say, oh, we need you to be fat, you have to gain on all this pounds, even though you are in the best shape of your life, or we need you to lose all this weight so you can look like a crackhead or whatever. Like to put yourself through all that kind of pressure on the body is like that's a whole nother monster in and of itself. At the moment, I do not have any representations. What's going on, True Royal family? Lacey G, I actually did talk about that. That was the first thing I talked about at the beginning of the live stream. So you probably have to go back and listen to it like right at the beginning. All right, you said what kind of roles would you like to play if you had a chance? Um, I would like to actually be in a superhero type film. Because I've always, as a kid, you always imagine you have superpowers and everything like that. To see how that is, and it allows you to use your imagination. Like when they're doing movies like these Marvel movies or these DC movies, when they're shooting, they have to use their imagination. Because clearly they're not shooting anything out of their hands. They're not moving anything with their mind or any type of power that they have, retractable claws, all of that. They're using their imagination, and then in post edit or when the product is done and they see it for the first time, their reactions are priceless because it's like when we were filming this, nothing was happening. We were just like reacting to stuff and we was pretending stuff was coming out of us or doing what this, that, and third. But to actually see it and actually see it in real time and on screen, then it's like, wow. It's amazing what those editors do. That's why editors get a lot of credit. They have to because they literally are like the cherry on top of the ice cream. You said villain or a good guy. One thing I've heard, and I can't remember what actor it was. They said they like playing the good guy, but they really love playing the villain. Reason being, when you play the villain, there's no limit to what you can't do. you can really go above and beyond and be a completely badass villain. Look at Heath Ledger, for instance, in his role as the Joker. Like, completely blown away by that performance. And a lot of people said that it was going to be good, but I think a lot of people thought it was going to be overhyped because of his death. But I don't think it was hyped up enough at the time, because after I saw him play that role, I was like, wow. And I didn't think anybody could beat Jack Nicholson's version of the Joker. Don't get me wrong, Jack Nicholson killed it as the Joker in the first Batman movie, but Heath Ledger took it to a whole nother level and made it his own. Actually, no, Ash, and they did not give me the background of the person that I was playing. They pretty much let me do my own research, which I actually love, because then it allowed me to really go into depth of who it was. Because if they gave me the background of the person who I was playing, I would have just kept it right there and said, okay, I'm gonna go off of what you told me. So that allowed me to go and do the research myself and understand who I was playing. Why did he do what he did? Or why was he, why was he there? I could see maybe like how Michael B. Jordan was, but a lot of people didn't say. Well, he even said himself when he played Killmonger, he didn't see him being a villain. He saw himself being as like a I forgot what he the technical term he said. It was an anti something, but basically he had a purpose. It's just that a lot of people didn't agree with how he went about it, and he thought he was doing the greater good. Someone said I do kind of resemble Ernest. Well, it's kind of crazy because at the time I didn't think that I did, but when I looked at the episode tonight and looked at the mugshot that they used, which, like I said in the beginning, was not the one the picture that I received, I kind of see the resemblance now. I would like to be in the, I would like to be in the next Black Panther film. Because I would hopefully, like, if that happens, I would have to be in the Atlanta area because that's where they shoot all of the Marvel movies at a place called Pinewood Studios. And I think that they're probably going to start shooting the next Black Panther movie probably towards the end of next year, if I heard that correctly. That's actually a pic of Black Panther in the profile. And speaking of pictures, the flyer that I had posted up in the community tab, the one with me wearing the suit with the silver suit with the tie, would you believe that that picture was taken of me back in 2014? That's not a recent picture. That picture was taken of me when I was 24. My uncle had took some professional photos of me for headshots, and I was turning 25 that year. So a lot of people thought that was a recent picture of me. They thought, "Oh, you got a haircut and everything for this." No, that was going on 5 years ago. I was 24 in that picture, and I'm 29 now. Thank you, Agatis Nabi. Yeah, see, there it is. A lot of people thought that I had cut my hair, but no, like I said, that was an old picture of me, and miraculously, I still look the same. Of course, now I have more hair on my head and more facial hair. I think I had just got my hair cut that day when I had took those pictures. That's why I look so fresh. Thank you, Mega Old School. Like when they told me that I was gonna have to do, let me tell you, when they told me what I had to do in that very first scene where I had to hold the gun up and take a selfie holding the gun, I was so nervous of how that was of how that was gonna come across. Because when I was like I was literally saying like they was like, okay, we're gonna have you take a picture of yourself. The phone that I had in my hand, that was my phone. The phone was off though. It wasn't on. And they said, well, okay, we're gonna have you take a picture of you holding a gun in your hand. And I'm like, okay. I said I was nervous to actually do it because I didn't know how it was gonna come off. But after seeing it on screen tonight, I said, oh, it came off well. Because I didn't see, when you're shooting something like this, um, you don't see it. Like once the thing is shot, you don't see what they do with the footage afterwards. And that camera that they used to get that close up of me was that close in my face. Like that camera was like dead in my face. It's not like they zoomed all the way in from a distance. They were right up in my face with that camera. He said, "What made me get the training and go to the gym?" Well, actually, when people look at like me, like walking around, they think that I'm probably in shape or anything like that. Well, let me tell you, it's because like when I wear clothes, they're a little bit more looser and they're not a lot form fitting. So a lot of people thought that I didn't need to lose any weight or things of that nature until they saw my pictures with my shirt off and saw then that I wasn't as in shape as they thought I was. And when I had got my body fat measurements and it said I was 19% body fat, they was like, that's 19%. When they think 19%, they think it should be someone morbidly obese. I said, if that person was morbidly obese, we're talking about at least 30% or more body fat, or maybe 25 or something higher than that. But I wanted to like really get in shape, and I like the environment of the people that I'm with when it comes to the training aspect. I actually like sometimes going to the gym more than going to work. If I had a chance to get paid while being in the gym, you know, I would probably quit my job. Say like when you said I'm gonna be the same age for the next 2 decades, that would be nice, but reality says otherwise. Right now, I'm actually currently 12 point according because I have this smart scale. Right now, I'm like according to the scale, 12.9% body fat. But the person that I'm working with, they said they're going to increase my food intake on the first, and they're going to actually, because their goal is for me to get to 175, maybe 180 of lean mass. So now I'm going to become fluffy, but it's going to be a good fluff. Well, I appreciate that, Taylor. When you said I don't age, I do what I can to take care of my body. Like because it's not just about how you look on the inside, but it's also about what you put on the inside of your body as well. I haven't eaten fast food in over 4 years. I remember when I stopped eating fast food February 1st, 2014, and I said I'll do it for the whole month. That whole month turned into 4.5, going on 5 years. And it's crazy because I have a McDonald's right around the corner from my house. It's a Wendy's across the street from that. Down the street is a Bojangles. Down the street a little bit more is a KFC, a Taco Bell, and a Burger King in the same shopping center. That's actually for personal reasons, but you never know. If there's a role that comes across and they say that I need to be a certain size, I got to do what I got to do. But I'd rather be in a position where I know that I can be comfortable and I don't have to panic and try to put on a lot of weight. But good thing I'm working with some people that if it ever came to that, then I'll know how to go about it. Bojangles is a fast food spot, Q Congress. I appreciate it, Joe. I really do. I've actually, you know what? I'm not even a biased against what type of acting roles that I would do. Like, I've actually done even stage plays. I remember when I did theater plays when I was in college. We did like original plays. We've even done plays that have been done before. I've done community theater. I've done short films, independent films. Like this show right here is so far the biggest thing that I've done as far as a lead goes. Notice I said as a lead. Now, as a background, I've done plenty of other big things with that. But as far as a lead goes, where I'm actually, I had dialogue, I had reactions. You see my face, like I stand out. That's so far the biggest thing that I've done, and it's the most recent. Bojangles, sir, they're mostly known for their chicken. Bojangles, I guess you can say, is like the unknown relative to say Popeyes. No, I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to do that mega old school. We've already seen that a lot, unless it's one that is rebellious, like Nat Turner. You said you want to see me in Black Lightning. I wish I could be in Black Lightning, but I gotta be in Atlanta for that because that too shoots in Atlanta. A lot of filming shows, movies shoot in Atlanta because taxes. It's cost effective. You notice a lot of big stuff that used to shoot or film in LA in Los Angeles don't film there anymore because it's too costly. So a lot of stuff shoots in Atlanta now because it's more cost effective. And I think in part Tyler Perry had a lot to do with that because before he really started shooting his stuff down there, a lot of people wasn't checking for Atlanta like that unless they had to do an on location shooting. But now he has his own studios down there, and now everybody seems to be shooting in Atlanta there, whether it's for a television show or for a movie. I mean, let's be real here. Did you really think that Marvel movies would actually be shooting in Atlanta of all places? You would think that they would be shooting in LA, which they used to do. Yes, I can, and I do cook. I have to because I meal prep. That's how I got down to this 12.9% body fat. And that's also how I'm gonna go back up. Exactly, HTV. The Walking Dead shoots in Atlanta. Shocked to a lot of people, surprised. It was shocking to me when I found out it shot there. But of course, it doesn't shoot in downtown Atlanta. They shoot like in the backwoods somewhere, but it does shoot in Atlanta. Oh, I didn't know that. Ashton, I didn't know Stranger Things shot there as well. See, it's shows like that that you wouldn't expect that shoot there. Well, my diet consists of a lot of stuff that is baked, not fried. So it consists of chicken, ground turkey, rice, vegetables, protein shakes, a little snack here and there. I'm allowed to have a cheat meal once a week, which is on a Friday. But I have a feeling now that I'm about to get back into the bulking phase, I'm gonna have multiple cheat meals a week, which I love. And my the person I'm working with said that they're going to insert sushi in there because that's actually a good considerable cheat meal while it's not also hurting you at the same time. Kat, you said you would like to play a role that involves seasoning food. Wow. Who doesn't love cheat meals? It's just that some people go overboard with it. my cheat meals usually consist of a burger and fries. Now, the person I'm working with said they didn't say how much of a burger and how much of the fries, so I'm just going to take that and run with it. I'm not going to ask any questions. I'm just going to go in. Yes, Taylor, I do know how to cook. I don't know what it is. Like people be like, even my coworkers be saying, "You be cooking?" I'm like, "Yeah, you gotta cook to live. You don't want to always go out and spend your money to get a bunch of stuff that you don't know what you put into your body." And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to cooking. You know what you're putting into your body, and you control the seasoning. Because some people don't season enough, and some people season too much. You got a lot of people that are very heavy-handed with their seasoning, and it tastes like it literally tastes like you are eating a future either heart disease, future diabetes, all of that. It's either too salty or too sweet. Like so, you control all of that. But I kind of compliment, of course, my mother for showing me how to cook. I remember when I was younger, she used to. Now I know this is like real common. Growing up in a black household, we had a lot of mothers that didn't want their kids in the kitchen while they cooked because that was their sanctum for the mothers that did cook. Because some mothers didn't cook, but they knew how to pick up that phone and make an order to the Chinese spot or to the pizza spot. But for those of them who did cook, they really didn't like being anyone else in the kitchen with them because that was their sanctum. That was their haven right there for those who knew how to cook. My mother was the same way when I was a kid. And when I started to learn how to cook, I always gave her a compliment and everything like that. Of course, I didn't give her too much of a compliment because she would always let it go to her head. No, she's not. Shocked to many people surprised, the person I work with is actually a woman who actually just competed in her first fitness competition, which is why a couple weeks ago I didn't do a live stream. Like if y'all saw my community tab, I said I was very tired because I had a long day. That was why, because I was actually at her first competition and she did very well for her first show. It actually can be therapeutic, especially when you got the right seasonings and that smell that just comes from the kitchen. That just cooking makes you realize that you not only love the sense of taste, but you love the sense of smell. But one of the first things I ever learned how to cook, and my dad actually taught me how to make this, was an omelet. Because he said when he was in the military years ago, eons ago, he used to make omelets for him and some of the people that was in the barracks with him, and that's where he learned how to do it. And then that's when I started to learn. So I think for most people, the first thing that they start learning how to cook with or experiment cooking with is with eggs. Unfortunately, some people who are grown still don't know how to do that. That sounds real good, Hood Mistress. Yes, a goddess Navi, I am an only child. No brothers, no sisters. I almost wasn't though because my dad was telling me how before he got with my mother that there was a woman that he was involved with probably barely out of their teens who was pregnant and she had a miscarriage. And I think he said that was going to be a girl. So if that didn't happen and my dad still ended up with my mother, I would have had an older sister. But yeah, I am the only child. But they wanted more kids. They wanted to have two. But what happened was after my mother had me, she got diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And the doctor told her it was probably not in her best interest to try to have more kids. I forgot your royal family. You did say you was an only child. I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes I wish I did have um other siblings and everything like that. And people always ask me, "Do you have a lot of cousins?" I do, but we're real spread out. That's why I'm real thankful for social media in that aspect because it allows us to still like stay in contact if they're in like a whole another state. Yeah, I'm an only child. Does it? I have a lot of people that tell like who know me personally, and they say I could tell you're an only child. I can tell, but the way that y'all are in the chat, y'all sound shocked that I'm an only child. You said what type of degree I have? I have a degree in mass communications with a concentration in broadcasting. So me doing the acting thing kind of lines right up with my degree. And I've often been told that I have a radio voice, and I've been told that by quite a few people. Like I've had people say that listening to my videos puts them to sleep, not in a way that sounds boring, but because it sounds soothing. Nah, I'm definitely an only child. That's really giving a number, Taylor Green. You said three or four brothers. Nah, I am an only child. I wish I did have siblings. I don't always tell my parents. I said I wish I was either the middle child or the youngest child. For some reason, I never wanted to have that responsibility of being the oldest. Wow. Okay. Okay, Cap PY2. I didn't know they gave degrees in that. Yeah, those kind of like restaurants like that, Hood Mistress, like they know where to put them at based on the demographic of the people. And I think they would know not to put a Bojangles there. Bojangles is a more of a southern, I guess you could say, style place that expanded a little bit to the north. I remember a couple years ago when people in New York got so excited when they got their first Chick-fil-A. That actually made world news when New York got their first Chick-fil-A and how people lined up outside like a brand new pair of Jordans came out or the brand new iPhone just came out. I kid you not. If you go and look online and look up like Chick-fil-A, New York's first Chick-fil-A, you'll find all kinds of news stories dedicated to it. Well, that's fine, True Royal Family, because you have us as your support system. We're all like your brothers and sisters that you never met, that will probably get on your nerves. But if you met us in person, you probably have no other choice but to love us. Yeah, a lot of people like Chick fil A. A lot of people like Chick fil A. You want to know what's even want to know what's so funny? The year that I decided to go and quit eating fast food was the same year McDonald's wanted to implement their all day breakfast menu. Knowing daggone well the breakfast was in some circles would be seen as the best part of their menu, but it was only there for a small part of the day. I said, that's fine because you know what? I can always go to the store, get me one of those little rings. I have eggs and English muffins. I can go find some Canadian ham or some bacon and make my own egg McMuffin. I'm only going to be on here for a couple more minutes. Another place that's in the South that, because even though I stopped eating fast food, that I'm going to miss is Zaxby's. Do I have any Southerners who are on this live stream? Maybe from North Carolina, South Carolina, probably even Georgia. Zaxby's. If they put a Zaxby's up here, that would be competition for Bojangles and Chick-fil-A. I like turkey bacon, brother Danubian. Some people be looking at me weird when I say that. I'm like, yeah, I like turkey bacon. Hood Mistress, you have to be on the West Coast because there is definitely no Roscoe's over here. And speaking of Roscoe's chicken and waffles, did you see Burger King try to call themselves going to implement a chicken and waffles on their menu? I looked at that and I said, nope. Even if I was still eating fast food, I would not indulge in that. I didn't really indulge with KFC like that when I was eating fast food to begin with. But yeah, I used to stay going. Me and when I was in college, because I went to college in South Carolina, and there was literally a Zaxby's walking distance from the off-campus apartments that myself and a few other people that I went to school with were at. And I used to, man, the little money that I had, used to go to Zaxby's weekly. I used to walk to Zaxby's probably two, maybe three times a week. Now, those of you who've never been in college, there's a budget in college, especially as a black student and going to an HBCU. And that budget was called broke, the broke college student budget, or the balling on a budget. And when you went to the cafe, you sometimes ate the food, or if the food wasn't a mystery, sometimes you didn't eat it because you didn't know what it was, or maybe it wasn't enough to fill you up. And once that calf closed, you were on your own. You either had food in your room or you went and got food elsewhere. But the Zaxby's was right down the street. I went to that Zaxby so much, I'm surprised they didn't even remember who I was half of the time. Yeah, good. I'm glad you said that, Cortez, because when I was also in school, my roommate worked at Walmart, and he used to bring home boxes of ramen noodles. And I'm talking about every flavor that they had, like every week, just so we didn't have to constantly go and spend our money elsewhere. Like, I appreciate him for that. And he would bring home the big boxes, like those boxes that had like 20 something packs at a time. And the thing is, I wasn't a person who was always pressed about ramen noodles like that until I got to college. You know, when you in college, you don't appreciate a lot of the stuff. Well, I put that. I rephrase that. Before you go to college, you don't appreciate a lot of stuff like ramen noodles. But once you get in there and you realize that you're a little bit low on cash and you need to find something cheap but can actually turn into a meal, you start to appreciate them ramen noodles. I remember I had a roommate or something like that. It was either him or somebody else used to buy Vienna sausages. Now I ain't mess with those. Them things was nasty. Vienna sausages, or that basically Vienna sausage is nothing but a shaped up piece of spam. And the smell that came from that can was just, it was very potent and not in a good way. But sometimes what people will do is they'll probably eat those ramen noodles and not put the seasoning in it, and they'll try to, some people like to get extra creative with it. Me, I didn't have time for all of that. I was hungry. Just give me the ramen noodles. I'll put it in the pot or the microwave, heat it up, and then throw the seasoning on it, eat it, and call it a day. But my roommate used to bring like boxes on top of boxes home because we used to go through them like it was nothing, they're like they were going out of style to the point where like they were starting to stack up in our room, like in the house, in the apartment. Yeah, Waffle House is more in the South. Like the closest Waffle House to me is like all the way like in mid Virginia, like in Fredericksburg. And that's like 3 hours away. That's like going towards Richmond. Actually, I think it's either past Richmond or right before Richmond. So there's definitely no Waffle House close to me at all. If you live in the South, a Waffle House is like a McDonald's. You'll find one on every corner because it's real popular down there. Cap, like I said, we were broke college students. We didn't have enough money to get a crock pot. That's how broke we were. So we used the microwave or a pot. And I think we only had maybe one pot. Like I said, we were broke college students living in off-campus apartments that we didn't have to pay rent for because it was paid for by the school. All right, y'all. I'm about to get up off of here. I'm glad that I was able to have this discussion with y'all. Shout out to everybody who watched the show and gave me good feedback. I'm glad we were also able to have this discussion outside of the show because I've never done a live stream where I'm just talking about random stuff with y'all. It felt more personal to talk about all this stuff instead of talking about the stuff that I usually do, especially on my Sunday live streams. I'm gonna probably do some more of these in the future. I don't know when or what we're going to actually discuss or anything of that nature. But I'm glad that I was able to talk about this, and I truly am appreciative of the people who did watch the episode. Like I said, if you're on the East Coast, it actually just came back on a minute ago. If you have DVR, good. For those of you who haven't seen it, just go and check to see when it airs again, and you'll be able to watch it. But I think they actually do have a YouTube page, not the show itself, but somebody else, because I've seen it, where they will find a way to retrieve the episode and they'll upload the entire episode on YouTube. If I do find that link, I'll probably post it up in the community tab whenever I receive it. Of course, it's not up right now. It'll probably be like another week or so. But I'm about to get up off of here. Of course, the videos will resume as usual by tomorrow. As you can tell, today was pretty much dedicated to the episode I appeared in, except for the very first video that I posted up earlier. But with that being said, I hope y'all have a good night. Y'all stay safe, and I will talk to you all in the next one.